Cardano has fallen a total of 16.81% in the last 4 days. What does this mean for Cardano's ADA? Does it mean that we have a lot further to the downside? Has it broken any form of bullish structure? We're going to discuss that in this video today. We're going to be talking about Cardano's ADA on the 1 hour chart and the daily time frame. We're going to be taking a look at the technical analysis and seeing what the community and the buyers and sellers are doing from a smart money concepts and Elliott wave theory point of view. If you're new to the channel, my name is Nick. Welcome. Let's jump right down into this video. So guys, let's start things off with smart money concepts. Smart money concepts is the idea of tracking big money, big funds coming into and out of the space. It helps us kind of understand whether or not we have a big problem with institutional investors or all that kind of good stuff. Now, one of the great things about smart money concepts is it allows us to be predictive, because when certain behaviors emerge, we can expect certain outcomes. Okay, now it's not always going to happen, but for the most part, they're using probability to help us and statistics to help us. So let's take a look at what's going on here with Elliott wave theory here, smart money concepts on Cardano's ADA. So as you can kind of see, we have this bearish structure. This was confirmed with this closing candle right here on the 5th of June at 4 p.m. UTC+1 or UK time. And we can see that since here we moved down, we bounced up a little bit after this move, and we came down again, we bounced up again, right? And what's really interesting about these structures is we can actually note a few different things. So not only are we in a bearish structure, we have a strong high, so this is not likely to get broken. And that's pretty obvious because of where we are right now. But this also means that we have a weak low, and that's also obvious because we continue to move down into new lower lows on the local level. Okay, and we can see that we're below equilibrium, we're below the 50 EMA, and we're below the 200 EMA. All these are indications that we should be reasonably bearish on Cardano's ADA for now. Okay, means further downside is highly likely, but there are a couple of things on this chart that are giving maybe a little bit of hope for some green in the market, although it may be just brief. This little red area here and this bigger one up here, these called fair value gaps. Fair value gaps are when we see an imbalance in the order books. Basically, a lot of buying or a lot of selling pressure with not being met by equal amounts or greater than in terms of buying pressure. And so what we see with the price coming down here is we see large amounts of money leaving the space. Okay, and not enough people buying in this gap, and so therefore insufficient liquidity, imbalanced order book, and basically price drops from the high side to the low side. Okay, and that's called a fair value gap. Price likes fair value gaps because when you see them, the person who created that, they're no longer selling. Okay, so if we actually just take these circles off, if the person who was trying to sell up here actually got their order filled or kind of sold down here by the time it completed. That's not what they wanted to do. There's slippage there, right? And so what they tend to do is they stop selling, and price will naturally want to gravitate back up into this range, and then they'll continue their selling pressure. It also works in vice versa, as in buying pressure and so forth. They want to buy cheap and they want to sell high. Okay, and when they see this occurs on the here, we know that essentially large money or large funds have come in here to drop the price of ADA, and well, they wanted to sell here, they ended up completing their sell orders here, and that's not necessarily what they want. So they stop selling and they wait for price to come on back. Now, price doesn't always come back right away. Sometimes it can take weeks, sometimes it can take months, and sometimes it can take years before you come back to one of these fair value gaps. But it's more than likely going to go back to that price at some point. It's not a guarantee, it doesn't always happen, but probability says that it's happened enough that you have a high probability of actually moving back up into these fair value gaps. You also see the same thing down here with this little gap, and we are moving up towards that right now. Okay, so it looks like Cardano's ADA here has some potential to kind of move up a little ways and grab some of those fair value gaps, but we shouldn't be trading it, in my opinion. And the reason for that is I don't necessarily think that we are where we need to be just yet. We're close, but not yet, and that's quite an important thing. So we'll have to see how kind of the rest of the week goes and how the weekend goes. But essentially, our trend is to the downside, which means we don't necessarily want to be going long, because that would be going against the trend. We want to kind of go short on the market. We want to short the market because that's the direction of the trend at the moment on Cardano's ADA, at least specifically, if I can get my words out, on the 1 hour chart, right? And we can see on our stochastic RSI, we're oversold on the daily, 8 hour, 4 hour, but not on our 1 hour. Okay, our 1 hour needs to go down again. Okay, so it looks like it's not quite complete. So in terms of Cardano's Cardano's ADA from a smart money concepts point of view is actually quite bearish on the 1 hour chart. Now we can take a look at this on the daily and it's going to look slightly different, and it's actually going to tell us that we're in a slightly bullish time, and that's because we are, right? We're oversold on the daily chart, and really what we're talking about here is, yeah, you could probably look at some pretty decent levels on our 1 hour on our 1 day chart, and you know, be reasonably happy, but the micro movements are still looking bearish at the moment, so there's a better entry if you wanted to go long. I think a long position is coming, I just don't think it's necessarily here right now. So again, accumulation, DCA, if you're going to do some spot swing trading and things like that, and obviously with everything going on with Binance, I think it's incredibly important to have proper risk management with how much funds you do hold on exchanges, and obviously risk management when it comes to how you trade and all that kind of stuff. Now personally, I'm using 𝗕𝗬𝗪𝗓. I use 𝗕𝗬𝗪 for all my spot leveraged spot trading, so anything that I buy for a hodl bag, I'll buy it on 𝗕𝗬𝗪 and then I'll move it across. Of course, not all tokens are on 𝗕𝗬𝗪. Sometimes I have to use 𝗕𝗓𝒐, sometimes I have to use other exchanges as well, such as KuCoin. But I won't be keeping the cryptocurrency on the exchange once I buy a spot. I then have a separate position for leverage trading. Again, I use 𝗕𝗬𝗪 for that. They have some fantastic offers and some fantastic platform that I think is actually really intuitive to use. So I have been using 𝗕𝗬𝗪 specifically for all my leverage trading and all my spot trading, with the exception of KuCoin and 𝗕𝗓𝒐 occasionally for some spot stuff. But for the most part, really, really useful. They've got some fantastic offers on at the moment as well, so why not check that out if you are looking for a new exchange. Linked in the description down below. And I think there's going to be some opportunities for some swing trading to occur here in the next few days or so. I just think it's not right at this particular moment. So on our daily chart, we're in a bullish market. As I said, it appears to be that way. It hasn't broken, but if we do come down lower and come specifically to the fair value gaps that are these two yellow box areas here, then we should consider that actually as a bit of more of a bearish tail, and we can kind of get out of any potential longs. But I do think the long is likely to be there. It just may not actually achieve any higher local high targets, but we'll have to see how that kind of plays out gradually over time. The fair value gaps for those who are interested is 28 to 29 cent, and then down here on the slightly lower side we have 25 to 26 cent. So cheaper ADA essentially, and it does look, in my opinion, like we are going to come down quite a bit at some point in the future there. So keeping an eye on that. Like for the most part, if we actually take a look at this from an Elliott Wave theory point of view, which you can kind of see overlaid on the smart money here, you can see that our 1-to-1 ratio on an ABC structure actually brings us into the fair value gap, with the 1.236 being slightly below it. So again, keep a close eye on that. Like I said, the trend is to the downside on the micro structures, and our daily, although is in this oversold area, can be down here for a little bit longer yet. So just be a little bit cautious with that. A swing trade is coming. I just don't think it's necessarily right now. Moving over into the Elliott Wave theory side of things, we were tracking a 5-wave structure, and it's great to see that we actually have achieved our 5th wave target expectations. And the problem that I do have here is it overextended, and that overextension is problematic for a couple of reasons. One, being that it may actually now push us a little bit deeper than we were originally thinking, but for the most part, I think we're okay. I don't think it's done anything too crazy. If we just drill into here for a second, let me just remove some of this. We can see, actually, it's probably, I'm going to take this down to a 15-minute chart for a second. Taking a look at this structure here, right? We're taking a look at it. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming here. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 is looking actually quite interesting, like it is more of a, that is interesting. We might actually have to come down into another 5th wave movement. Let's kind of bring that up into an hourly. So it could be that this is actually a 4th wave move here. Of another 5-wave structure inside our 5th wave. This is something that happened when we got the lows at 23 cent. We actually saw a lot of extensions occurring as ADA continued to get got sold off quite a bit and quite aggressively. We can hope that we're done here, but for the most part, I think that's going to be quite hard to sell. I think we've kind of got a situation where we'd have to push up higher than 34.4 to be able to kind of say that we're done with the 5th wave movement. So caution, it looks like we might have to come down just a fraction more here. And if we do, that next target range would be 31.1 up towards 31.7. So 31.1 to 31.7 would be the expectation on that next move to the downside on our 1 hour chart for mapping that. And as you can kind of see, we're expecting this to be a big zigzag pattern taking us down towards that fair value gap, with the B wave being that swing trade opportunity. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of where we sit with that one. I think it's going to be a very interesting time for Cardano here over the next little while. Doesn't really distract us from the bigger macro piece though. Ultimately, we got rejected from a previous area of support, kind of was expected. It only really barely scraped into the expectations on the highs, so it wasn't exactly able to push much further than what you saw here. We got rejected pretty quickly. We see a zigzag pattern right inside here. All right, that's your first zigzag, and what we're looking for is another zigzag right inside here, which will basically create a double zigzag. The issue that we may have is we bounce up and then have a third. Now you can only have three. Three is the maximum number. It is a W, X, Y, X, and Z. You can't do more than that. So rules are the rules. So we're looking for a double at the moment. It may turn into a triple, but we don't know if that's going to play out or not at the moment. So all we know is that we are looking for another 5-wave move down after we rally up a little bit, after a little bit of a relief to the upside. So 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 ADA, that may please you, that may not please you. Let me know in the comments. If we do see 28 or 25 cent ADA, are you accumulating at that point? And all that wonderful stuff. Let me know in the comments below. If you found this useful and informative, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe, and if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, linked in the description below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to risk your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.